First story. The old schoolhouse, late fall 2022, back in our small town. There was this creepy old schoolhouse that had been shut down since the 90s. It sat at the edge of a quiet street, surrounded by overgrown weeds and rusted playground equipment. Most folks avoided it, saying it was haunted or just plain bad news. I'd always been into weird, forgotten places, so one chilly afternoon in late fall, when I didn't have much to do, I grabbed a backpack and a flashlight and headed out solo. Normally, I'd drag a buddy along, but this spot was just a few blocks away, so I figured I'd be fine. The path to the school was a cracked sidewalk, half buried under dead leaves and vines. It took me maybe 10 minutes to get there, longer than I'd expected. The building loomed up ahead, a squat brick thing with boarded-up windows and a faded sign that read Lincoln Elementary. I walked up to the side entrance, where a busted window gave me a peek inside. I listened for a bit. Total silence. The door nearby was hanging off its hinges, so I nudged it open and stepped in. Inside, it smelled like mold and old paper. The hallway stretched out, lined with dented lockers and peeling paint. There were still traces of the past. Faded posters on the walls, a tipped-over desk, even a kid's backpack rotting in a corner. I poked around the first floor, shining my light into empty classrooms. When I decided to check out the upper level, the stairs groaned under my weight, but they held. Upstairs was a long corridor with doors on either side. One was cracked open, so I peeked in. An old teacher's lounge, maybe, with a busted couch and scattered papers. As I stepped inside, a sharp clang echoed from downstairs, like metal hitting concrete. My stomach dropped. That wasn't just the building settling. I bolted back to the stairs, sweeping my flashlight around, but the place was dead, quiet again. Nothing moved. Still, I wasn't about to stick around alone. I headed for the exit, heart pounding. But when I got to the door I'd come through, it was shut tight. I'd left it open. I yanked the handle, locked or jammed. Sweat broke out on my neck. Someone or something had to be messing with me that I ran to the busted window, climbed out, and hit the ground running. As I ducked into the overgrown lot next door, a low growl rumbled behind me. Not human, more like an animal. I didn't look back, just sprinted through the weeds until I hit the main road. When I finally stopped to catch my breath, I glanced back. No one, no thing, just the dark shape of the schoolhouse. I never found out what was in there, but I wasn't dumb enough to go back. Second story. The Warehouse Run, summer 2023. Last summer, I was crashing with my pals Mike and Tyler in a rundown apartment while we worked dead-end jobs in a Midwest college town. We didn't get much time off, but when we did, we'd hit up random spots for kicks. One weekend, we all had a free Saturday night, and Tyler heard about this abandoned warehouse just past the train tracks. It sounded sketchy but kinda dope, so we piled into Mike's beat-up sedan and rolled out. The warehouse sat in an industrial ghost town. Empty lots, busted streetlights, the works. We parked at a closed-up diner nearby and hiked the rest of the way. The place was huge, all concrete and steel, with graffiti tagging every wall. A chain-link fence circled it, but someone had snipped a hole big enough to crawl through. We squeezed in and found a side door propped open with a cinder block. Stepping inside was like walking into a cave. The air was thick, and the whole structure hummed with the wind rattling loose panels. Our dollar store flashlights barely cut through the dark. The main room was a maze of old crates and conveyor belts, coated in dust and rust. We split up a little, poking around, when I wandered toward a back exit. I checked over my shoulder, saw Tyler silhouette by some machinery. So I kept going, figuring he'd catch up. I pushed through a swinging door into a smaller room, maybe an old office, with filing cabinets tipped over and a busted chair. Then I heard it. Quick steps crunching on gravel, coming from the way I'd just come. "Mike? Ty?" I called, turning my light back. No answer. The door swung open, but no one was there. My pulse kicked up. I stepped closer, and then a shadow darted across the wall, tall, jagged, like someone ducking out of sight. I yelled again, but the only reply was a low, scraping sound from above, like something dragging across the ceiling. I booked it back to main room, shouting for Mike and Tyler. They yelled back, confused, and we hauled ass out of there, scrambling through the fence. On the way to the car, I told them what I saw, or didn't see. Whatever it was, it didn't want us there. We swore off creepy warehouses after that. Story 3. The Deserted Barn, winter 2024. About a year ago, I was back home from college for winter break, hanging with my high school buddy, Nate. We'd always kill time driving around our rural town, looking for something to do. One snowy night, we were bored out of our minds at his place and decided to check out this old barn everyone talked about. It was out past the cornfields, abandoned since some farmer went bust decades ago. Kids said it was cursed, but we were too restless to care. It was dark, but the snow lit up the ground enough to see. We grabbed our phone flashlights and trudged out. The dirt road to the barn was a mess, rutted and frozen, half covered in drifts. When we got there, the thing looked like it was falling apart. Rotted wood, holes in the roof, the whole deal. We pushed through a gap in the splintered fence and approached the main doors. They creaked open with a shove, revealing a cavernous space inside. The barn was weirdly intact. Hay bales stacked in corners, rusted tools hanging on the walls. We walked in, our steps crunching on the frozen floor, the sound bouncing off the rafters. I climbed up to a loft area while Nate poked around below. Halfway up the ladder, a loud thud hit the ground, like something heavy dropped. "Nate!" I called, shining my light down. He was fine, just startled, pointing toward the back. We couldn't see anything, but the air felt wrong. We headed to the side room, old storage, maybe full of crates and tarps. Then we heard it, slow, deliberate creaks, like boots on wood, moving toward the main doors. We peeked through a crack in the wall and saw a shadow slip outside, a long, thin shape that didn't look right. The door slammed shut with a bang. We waited, barely breathing, until the silence stretched too long. Then we ran, shoving the doors open and booking it through the snow. No idea what was in there, but it was hiding, and it knew we'd been close. 4 stodgy shadows and the storm crashing at my cousin's cabin for a few days while he was off on a hiking trip with his buddies. He had this tiny dog that freaked out during loud rain, and we were in for a wild storm that week. The dog was pretty chill otherwise, always lounging in random corners by itself. The rain started the night before he left and didn't let up the whole time I was there. It was Friday, and I'd slept over fine. The dog, Rusty, handled the thunder okay that morning. I kicked back on this old armchair with a book. Loved that spot since the cabin was deep in the hills, super quiet and cut off from everything. Around noon, the landline rang. Yeah, they still had one of those. I checked, thinking it might be him, but it just said private caller, so I let it go. 10 minutes later, it rang again, same deal. This time, it hit the answer machine in a low, gravelly voice said my cousin's name, like they were testing if he'd pick up, then clicked off after a pause. I didn't recognize it. Could have been a friend or something, so I shot him a quick message about it. Weird that it was a block number, though. Over the next couple hours, the same caller hit twice more, no messages. He didn't reply, probably out of signal range. I shrugged it off, cooked some food, and lazed around. By 7 or 8, I was upstairs watching a flick in the spare room. Halfway through, I remembered to check Rusty's bowls. Downstairs, I found him parked by the back door, eyes glued to the gap underneath, like he was waiting for it to swing open. I called him, and he flicked his head my way for a second before staring again. It gave me the creeps. I crept over and peeked to the little window by the door. Rain had smeared it, so it was all hazy. Something shifted out there, though, enough to hint at a shape on the deck. My stomach twisted, but I kept squinting, debating whether to crack the door. A few minutes passed, nothing clear. I figured I was spooking myself. Someone would have banged on the door by now, right? I grabbed some chips and filled Rusty's water. Passing by again, he was gone. I glanced out, still blurry, but one of the shapes I'd seen wasn't there anymore. Did it move? Feeling weird, I scooped Rusty up and took him upstairs. Back in the room, the movie rolled on, but I couldn't relax. About 20 minutes later, Rusty bolted off the bed and posted up by the bedroom door, staring at the bottom crack, same as before. My pulse spiked. I whispered his name, shaky, but he didn't budge. I tiptoed over, pressed my ear to wood. Nothing. Then I dropped low and peeked under the gap. My whole body jolted. Feet right there, inches away. I fumbled for the lock, clicked it shut, and whoever was bolted down the hall, footsteps fading. I dialed emergency services and texted my cousin. Cops showed up, searched, found nothing, empty house. They figured it was some creep, maybe tied to the calls. But the number trace went nowhere. I felt awful for my cousin. This guy was after him, not me. Maybe he thought the place was empty since I didn't pick up. Could have been waiting for him to get back. We never figured out who or why. 5-story the job that wasn't. I just lost my gig at the warehouse. Cutbacks, they said. Had enough cash stashed to float me while I hunted for something new. For weeks, I was glued to my desktop, scrolling job boards. After a couple weeks with 0 bites, I got antsy and started poking around sketchier sites. One had some fresh postings, and by afternoon I got a hit. Guy named Mike emailed me, said he ran a small shop and wanted me in for a chat that evening. Tight schedule, he claimed. I wasn't ready and the rush felt off, but I didn't want to miss out. Figured jumping on it might look good. It was a basic retail gig, decent pay. I said yes, and he sent an address. Meet at 6:45. I suited up, got there early. It was a dingy strip mall, 1 unit with no sign. Just a number. Lights off, lot empty. I double-checked the address. Matched perfectly, but no business name online. Called Mike's number from the email. No answer. Tried again. Nada. Waited till 7, then bailed. Dark, deserted place, no response. Too shady. Should have seen it coming. Drove back. Annoyed but done with it. Decided to stick to legit sites tomorrow. Didn't dwell on whether Mike messed up the spot or what. Grabbed a soda, flopped on the recliner, flipped on the TV. No job, no curfew, stayed up late. Every so often, I heard a faint groan upstairs, like the floor settling. Peeked outside, no wind, nothing. Didn't bug me much. Old houses creak. Around 11, I dragged myself to bed, crashed fast. Then I snapped awake, room pitch dark. That groan again, closer, maybe across the room. I squinted. Barely anything visible. Then a soft scrape hit my ears, like the wardrobe door easing open. I froze, watching the shadow of it slide. Couldn't tell if I was dreaming. Then a shape leaned out, and my adrenaline kicked in. I snatched my phone, rolled off the far side of the bed. It didn't move, just stood there, staring like it hoped I'd miss it. Eyes adjusted. I knew it was real. I bolted out, calling 911 as I hit the yard. Dumb. But I watched the stairs to the open door, praying they wouldn't slip away. Cops rolled up quick. I hadn't seen anyone leave, so I pointed them to the bedroom. They dragged the guy out of the wardrobe, stringy hair, stained shirt, wild eyes, silent the whole time. Took a day or two to piece it together. He'd posted fake jobs everywhere. Snagged my info from the resume, knew when I'd be out. Snuck in while I was gone. Stayed all night, feet from me as I slept. Never said why. No clue what he had planned. 6-story the rider at dusk. I'm out in the sticks. Nothing but empty fields stretching forever. Closest thing's a Tulane road a mile off. Rest is mud tracks or patchy gravel. Town's half an hour away. Barely a dot on the map. I'm 46. Done working, so I'm home most days. It was a normal one. Gray and wet. Been pouring for days. Around midday, I stepped onto the porch with cigar to watch the rain. Sat there a while, maybe 45 minutes, when I spotted something way down the dirt lane to my place. Flat ground, so I could see far, even with the drizzle. Guy on a beat-up trail bike, chugging through the muck. Odd. But I thought he'd veered off by mistake. Nope. He rolled right up to my shed, stopped, helmet on, staring at the house. Looked older, maybe, saw me, held still a beat, then peeled back the way he came. Weirdest thing I'd seen out here. No one swings by. No reason to. Figured he got lost. Stayed out till the wind picked up, then went in. Forgot about it, made tea, lounged. Chatted with my sister on the phone, dozed off. Day was slow, nothing pressing. By 9, the storm cranked up thunder, sheets of rain slamming the tin roof. Still, I caught a low rumble outside, same bike noise from before. Looked out the side window, saw a light cutting the haze, then it flicked off. Gone. Waited, but no sign. Couldn't call the sheriff over something this vague, so I was solo. Grabbed my rifle from the closet, just for protection, never used it. Didn't know if this guy was trouble or just clueless. Paced the house, checking windows every few minutes. Nothing, till I hit the kitchen and glimpsed a blur in the fog out back. Gone fast. Chilled me deep. Then I heard boots squishing in the mud, right up against the walls. Every time I leaned to look, they shifted out of sight. This wasn't innocent. Couldn't let it drag on. Too dicey. Ran to the shed, hopped to my pickup, threw the door up, pulled out, shut it. Shaking, I swung the truck around, flipped on the floods. Light hit the house, and there he was, black gear, crowbar in hand, peering through a window. Didn't hear me over the storm, I guess. He bolted, darted to his bike stashed in the weeds, and tore off into the night. Didn't sleep a wink. Next morning, I told the deputy in town. No idea who he was, but that crowbar screamed bad news. Glad I didn't wait to find out.